Hello there and welcome back to another video of Premier League previews and our regularly scheduled previews that I like to do. I put out a video on Friday morning. It was very, very emotional for me anyway, and I don't care. I'm proud of it. Not, the video itself isn't the most special thing in the world, but it's special to me to be able to celebrate something completely special as a Liverpool fan. But I'm going to go back to doing the videos that I normally do all the time, so don't worry about that. The previews and stuff are going to be coming if you're still looking for the previews as well. Liverpool matches will still get previews even though the Premier League title race is obviously now officially over. We're not going to focus on that one in today's video though. We're going to be looking at the 4 games that are coming up over the next 4 days. 4 days or 3 days, whichever. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and basically up until we get to the 1st of July, and then that's like a full day of fixtures. So we're going to be looking at Aston Villa versus Wolves. We're going to be looking at Watford versus Southampton, Crystal Palace versus Burnley, and Brighton versus Manchester United. So let me know what you think in the comments below about any of these games. If they're your team and you support them, how do you think you're going to get on? Let's have a look at Aston Villa versus Wolves. Aston Villa versus Wolves, in my opinion. Let's have a look at the Premier League alone. Villa haven't done the best, but they also haven't done the worst since they've come back. A draw, a loss, and a draw. Against Chelsea losing, that's no mean feat after what they just accomplished against Manchester City. So yeah, not necessarily too bad, but they want to be picking up more points. They desperately want to be picking up more points. Probably the best thing that happened for Aston Villa recently was the fact that Watford lost against Burnley, because that keeps them all very, very tight and close together. You look at the points that are in between them all now. 27, 27, 27, on 28. Obviously, Norwich look like they're adrift. But Norwich, Aston Villa still have a chance of jumping themselves up every single time, it seems. They've still got a chance of jumping themselves up a little bit higher as long as Bournemouth and West Ham and Watford continue to go on a bit of a slide, not pick up the points that they also need, because these guys are desperately battling relegation here. And it's going to be a really tough ask coming against the Wolves team that have beaten West Ham 2-0 and they beat Bournemouth 1-0 as well. Comprehensively as well. We're not talking about like close margins or anything here. We're talking about it was very, very good performances, clean performances. And what I mean by clean performances is it wasn't necessarily, they weren't battering teams 3-4, 5-0, but they got out there, they get their result, they get the goals that they need or the goal that they need, and then they get out of there unscathed. They keep their position in the table, and they are still tied with points with Manchester United and still with a very real possibility of Champions League. Obviously, Chelsea have gone a little bit further ahead, having beaten Man City 2-1, but Man United and Wolves now are fighting for the same place. That 5th position, depending on what happens with Manchester City and their Champions League ban or whatever, if it's upheld, whatever happens there, this 5th position could potentially become a Champions League spot. So Man United are going to want to hold on to this, but Wolves are coming, and they're coming very, very quickly. The only thing that might go against Wolves in this one in terms of getting that 5th position is the fact that Man United are going to come up against Brighton, and United do look very, very good at this moment in time. When you look at the predicted lineups here, all I see from Wolves is power, technical players, good players, the quick pace of a Adama Traore. Again, these are possible lineups. These might not be how he might rest a Traore and bring him on the second half. We don't know. He's got the options there, like a Pedro Neto, I think his name is, or Neto, however you say his name. But they've got options. They've got a lot of things that they could cycle through, a lot of players that they could use. That yes, they do have one of the smallest squads in the Premier League, but he uses them so well. What I see from Aston Villa is I see an awful lot of creation. They do have a lot of creation. From Grealish to McGinn, everybody is able to create. Even in the last couple of games, the draw against Newcastle, the loss against Chelsea, they create chances, but they don't have someone. And I'm not saying that it's Samatta's fault. It's not Samatta's fault. They signed Wesley, the Brazilian, got injured very early on in the season and was out for the season as well. They just don't have someone to put those chances in the back of the net consistently enough. And that is probably what will let them down against Wolves. Wolves are a powerful unit, and Wolves can pick apart and take apart teams from up the top of the league right down to the bottom of the league, and in Europe as well. We see that they've done well in the Europa League as well. For me, I think that Aston Villa, there's no good time to come up against Wolves. I was going to say is there a good time to come up against Wolves? I don't think there ever is. I really don't think there ever is. The only way that you have to go at them with the same sort of intensity and power that they put on you. And if you can't do that, you aren't going to win the game. And I don't think that Aston Villa will win the game. And I don't think, because Wolves have kept clean sheets since they've came back as well, I don't think that Aston Villa are going to be able to put... I don't think they're going to lay a glove on them. And I think it's going to be a comfortable 2-0 victory for Wolves. I think they're just going to be too powerful, in my opinion. Anyway, let me know what you think about this game in the comments below. Get your thoughts in, please. It is also very awesome to hear from any of you if you do have any thoughts or comments. So feel free, honestly. Watford versus Southampton. Watford got beat last time out against Burnley. It was just yesterday. I'm recording this on Friday. Friday afternoon, I should say. They got beaten last time out, and Watford, while they did turn things around under Nigel Pearson at first, seem to have crept a little bit back into what they were going like under the previous manager, whose name I can't remember at this moment in time. They've got some good quality players that if they do happen to go down this season, will get picked up by a Premier League club. Doesn't matter where. I firmly believe an Abdoulaye Doucouré could go into at least a top 8 team. Definitely could go into a top 8 team. I think he's a very good player. Sarr is also a very good player. Someone who's got very good potential as well. They've got players. Even Kabasele, Ben Foster is still a great goalkeeper, but he is relied upon far too much, in my opinion. I think the defence doesn't help him a great deal. The midfield also doesn't necessarily help him a great deal either. Troy Deeney can be a good impact man, but doesn't impact games enough, and he is the club captain as well. He needs to be doing more, in my opinion. When you look that they are still hovering over the, all these guys that are on this relegation battle is so close. One team will emerge out of this, whether it's a West Ham, Watford, Bournemouth or Villa. One of these teams will put something together before the end of the season and drag another one back in. Watford need to make sure that it's not them. It'd be very difficult now, obviously, for Southampton to be dragged in there. They're on 38 points, did I read? 37 points. They're on 37 points, had a really tough game against Arsenal and had a sending off as well. I can't remember who the sending off was. Jack something, I think. Jack Stevens, I think, maybe. I don't know. But they had a really tough game. A lot of chances, didn't take the chances. Apparently these are going for Che Adams and Shane Long going up front. I don't know why it wouldn't be going with Danny Ings. I don't know if something happened to Danny Ings in the last game out. Let me just have a quick look and see if is he going to be suspended or something, or is he injured? He got took off in the 90 plus 1 minute. Hopefully he's not injured anyway for Southampton. And me personally, I really like Danny Ings just as a player and a guy. But this could end up being a really even match. Southampton will probably want to come out and put that Arsenal result behind them. It was a negative result where they basically handed the goals to Arsenal, and that isn't understating that. They basically literally the first goal, especially the goalkeeper, just whatever it was, really bad pass or just bad concentration levels and letting Nketiah get in and score a goal. And then you see the red card and the free kick that resulted in the goal that was scored by... Can't remember who it was scored by. Genuinely can't. His name was there and it just went. But even so, the red card, it was. I felt it was a harsh red card, but it was probably right to be given. They're going to want to put this result behind them. But these guys need to show much more fight than they have shown in the recent games as well, especially that game against Burnley. They need to show so much more. The entire team need to show so much more. For some reason, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I don't think either team's going to win this game. I think that maybe Southampton get a little bit unstuck. Maybe they still have a little bit of that Arsenal result in them. If there is going to be a victory in this game, I personally believe it'll be Southampton that do it, and Watford will be looking closely over their shoulders at the teams that are behind them as well. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm going for a 1-1 draw here. Crystal Palace versus Burnley. Crystal Palace had a tough time out last time. They played Liverpool, my team, and Liverpool were on fire. They, 4 fantastic goals, and Crystal Palace lost Zaha very early on. I just want to go and look at their lineup, not necessarily looking at the result or anything like that, because obviously we know it and we've seen what that means. But the lineup that they had, is Wilfried Zaha going to be a long-term injury? Also, there was no Christian Benteke in this lineup. And I don't know why that was. Now, I imagine in this game against Burnley, you will see the likes of Milivojevic start the game. Maybe a change of formation to take in the fact that Wilfried Zaha is not going to be playing. Do Crystal Palace have a younger player, like a youth player, that could come in and perhaps take on this role for now? Because let's be honest, right? Crystal Palace aren't in danger of anything right now. They're on 42 points, 1 point behind Arsenal because of Arsenal's victory yesterday. But they are sat 10th in the league. They are having one of their best leagues seasons that I've seen ever. I don't remember Crystal Palace not being a relegation battling team, but they've done really, really well this season. They haven't scored the greatest amount of goals, but they still managed to pick up the necessary and right wins when they've needed to. 11 wins, 9 draws, 11 losses. They've done well. 42 points. They're on exactly the same points as Burnley, who lost last time out as well. And we've just basically, where were we? Watford, we were just sort of talking about it. Sorry, they didn't lose last time out. They won last time out. What am I on about? Sorry about that. They won last time out, and it was Jay Rodriguez. Now, I said when they were coming up against Man City that Jay Rodriguez can be the difference. Now, they had a very, very difficult time then coming up against the juggernaut that was Man City that absolutely just steamrolled them. But Jay Rodriguez is a quality forward. I'll never forget it's literally burned into my brain. The goal that he scored against Manchester United, an absolute rocket right at the near post, but like near post into the crossbar, like under the crossbar. Really, really good goal. He's a very versatile forward, and he will be the difference maker, I think, in this game. I think they've got a very, solid defence when they're on it as well. And Burnley themselves have had a tough week because of that whole plane situation, the fan flying a White Lives Matter situation, and they've handled it very, very well. They've come back, put in a very, very solid performance here with captain Ben Mee. I think he's the captain. And a very good goal, by all accounts, by Jay Rodriguez. It was a nice header past Ben Foster. What Crystal Palace have to do in this game, if they don't have Zaha, they have to do something with Andre Ayew, I think. Jordan Ayew. Apologies. Christian Benteke, could you have a two up top? Jordan Ayew, Christian Benteke, if he's fit. There's got to be a reason that he wasn't on this bench here as an option at least. Do they change things up a little bit defensively? Gary Cahill not getting a very good rating here. Mamadou Sakho, as a former Liverpool player, can be suspect sometimes. Do they bring in an experienced guy at Palace like a Scott Dan? Do they bring someone in like that? Could that happen? Or even this guy here, Mitchell. Could they bring in someone that's maybe not as well known to help them out? Maybe inject a little bit more energy, activity into them. I don't know. Please let me know if you do know. What would you do if you were these guys as well? But Crystal Palace versus Burnley for me, I'm going to go for another draw. I think these two are very tight, evenly matched, and with Crystal Palace missing Wilfried Zaha would have given Liverpool problems if he was able to stay on the pitch and he didn't go off injured. I guarantee it, and that's me as a Liverpool fan and just being honest. He would have given us a little bit more trouble than they were actually able to give us without him. He's a very tricky player, definitely their key player in attack, and when they lost him so early on 15 minutes, he would have made a problem. If he can come back into this game, Crystal Palace could go on, get creative, and they could go on and win the game. But for now, I'm going to err on the side of caution and say that Crystal Palace will draw with Burnley in this game. So that's 2 draws that I'm predicting there. That's not, I don't normally like to sit on the fence, but this is what we're doing right now. And the final game that we're going to look at is Brighton versus Manchester United. Now, let's have a look at their previous fixtures just over here. So in the Premier League, Brighton have started pretty positively, let's be honest. They've started with a 2-1 victory over Arsenal and a 0-0 against Leicester. You look at where these two teams are, maybe not so much Arsenal in the table, but they are far and above Brighton, up in 9th now, but they were around 10th or 11th. But it's a very, very good victory to pick out against Arsenal. And then to get the draw against Leicester. Leicester haven't come back into this league, haven't come back from the break. Very, very good. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. It's just facts. They haven't. So to pick up a draw there is very, very positive for Brighton as well. Takes them at least a win and 2 draws away from Watford, not getting themselves dragged in to the relegation zone anytime soon. But, however, if Watford are able to pick up a victory against Southampton this weekend, or on Monday night, whenever it's played, if they're able to do that, then it'll take them a little bit closer. And if Brighton can't get a result against Man United, which it's going to be difficult, because let's be honest, Manchester United against Sheffield United was just, I said it was like, you know, Man United coming up against invisible men, and it kind of was in a way. It really, really was. Anthony Martial being on the end of the goals, being the person that puts it in the back of the net, but the build-up play with this lineup and Nemanja Matic as the guy that's letting everybody else play, he's going to control Morecambe Central and be in front of this back four here, and then the rest of these guys all being able to go up front, get creative, and start playing. The passing moves that these guys were pulling off could tear apart Brighton. Brighton are going to have to be so defensively solid in this game, and I'm not sure whether they're going to be able to sustain that against what looks like a very, very, very reinvigorated Manchester United, who, even though Chelsea won, they won their game against Manchester City, they will still be wanting to chase down this fourth position, just in case this fifth position isn't a Champions League place because of Man City's ban, if it's upheld, all that sort of business. United have a much stronger team than Brighton do. Brighton seem to have an unshakable resolve since coming back. Now, let's be honest, facing third in the league, they've done very well, but Leicester haven't been on form. If Leicester are on form, Leicester win that against Brighton. Brighton will cause problems. They will get physical. They'll do that little bit of almost like a Tony Pulis Stoke. They'll do the dirty work. They'll make you feel them at every possible point. What Man United have to do is ride that little bit of physicality, use their physical players like a Matic, like a Pogba, you know, and use these guys, and obviously the defenders like Harry Maguire, big defenders, big guys, use their physicality as well and unleash those creative players. If they do that, Man United will definitely pick up the win in this game. I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory for Manchester United in this game against Brighton. I don't think they're going to be able to hold off Man United in this game, and I think that Man United will just continue to do what they've done since they've come back into this Premier League and display their quality, which is what they'll do. And even I can say that as a Liverpool fan, I like to approach every single game unbiased, unless my team is involved, and even then, I'm still very unbiased. So, I'm going for a 3-1 victory here for Manchester United. That is the end of this preview. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. All of the videos, all the games, will get reviewed on Monday. Having the weekend just to myself and the family, just to sort of enjoy Liverpool's success that we've had this season, but they will be coming on Monday, so feel free to get your comments in down below about any of these games, what your thoughts are. And if there's full-time results, let me know what you think of them as well, what your thoughts are. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do like it and subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you once again, and I'll catch you later.